So I was replaying the Spider-Man 1, experiencing all of the story and glory when I got to this part. Before this, I literally forgot Hammerhead turned himself into a cyborg. A cyborg. This DLC was real as they definitely progressed not only his character but Silver Sable as well. An absolute pleasure watching and replaying this. But then I immediately thought, where the heck is the DLC for Spider-Man 2 been?
Thank you, Spider-Man, for everything. I don't do hugs.
Yeah, right. Of course. Hey, can I get a lift back to the city? I'd swim, but it'd take forever to get
Not
the
gonna lie, I
riverside.
still put on Spider-Man 2 just to enjoy the swinging and how seamless the combat to traversal is, and the vice versa. It's weird. Spider-Man 2 for me plays the best and looks the best, so it's easy to say, hands down, Spider-Man 2 is the best. However, replaying Spider-Man and then Spider-Man Miles Morales made me see that there were some elements lost in the sequel that the first two games had in abundance, to the point where I'd argue Spider-Man Miles Morales feels the best in terms of combat and swinging, regardless of how fast and fluid the sequel Spider-Man 2 is. I feel as if the swinging in Spider-Man Miles Morales has some weight to it, which better adds to the speed and sensation. Even though Miles Morales has a smaller city size compared to the sequel Spider-Man 2, it still feels so much bigger. Even looking at the buildings, they have a better scale compared to the sequel, where you compare your size to their height and width. Comparing the speed in Miles Morales swinging versus Spider-Man 2, Miles was slick and stylish with his moves, but he was still grounded, and you needed a bit of skill to maintain a high speed consistently while doing flips in the air. Spider-Man 2 comes close to a more robotic slash shinobi slash Ninja Gaiden hybrid, and that's not even including the auto jumps and auto boosts that you have provided for you. No shade on any of these mechanics, as I love the convenience the sequel provides, but it borders on being too easy, and it left out room for higher rewards or achievements for stylish swinging or flawless combat, meaning the skill ceiling was much higher than the game kind of allowed itself to be. Even with the new Game Plus edition, I still feel like there is more opportunity for higher difficulty or just additional challenges with regard to swinging and combat. And this video is definitely not a harsh criticism in any form of fashion, because again, Spider-Man 2 is a great game. All three of the titles are fantastic. I'm just thinking about the minor nitpicks that I saw in the sequel that wasn't present in Miles Morales. For example, when you did a dope set of tricks and flips, Miles would often say something to congratulate the moment, or otherwise, say something energetic to, just kind of emphasize how dope you did.
I got this!
With all the swinging and flipping through the air in Spider-Man 2, there is none of that. None of that kind of free flow energy that you hear from the characters. And you can spend a lot of time airborne now in the sequel. It's not even a joke, but you don't get any of that kind of heck yeah feel or thrill when doing a difficult set of tricks or swinging in a particularly fast and high fluid fashion. I hope that attention to detail is brought back for the next title, and of course Wolverine. The tone sounds like I'm saying do better, but it's not like that. It's more of a you're doing great, but just don't lose sight of these little details tone. With time, I realize how much of some of those smaller details can get missed, so allow me to continue to explain some of the missed details and components, and what I hope are lessons learned for the next or maybe final game in the Spider-Man saga. I mean, obviously a lack of DLC or story expansions I believe were a missed opportunity. Continuing with whatever was going on with Felicia Hardy, Tombstone being a good guy more or less, a possible visit from Doctor Strange, or an Avenger cameo that I feel is long overdue. There's a lot of story that I feel that Spider-Man 2 is not delivered on. Fisk, Otto Octavius, and Norman Osborn are still active, and they've been active in all three titles more or less, regardless of their present locations within all of the games. It would be nice to see some story expansions that shed some light on what's going on, blah blah blah. Even seeing what's up with Cletus Cassidy, the list really goes on with how many stories they can tell. I'd say I hope I don't have to wait until the sequel, but Ratchet and Clank: A Crack in Time, Batman Arkham Knight, God of War 3. Those third entries are something iconic, at a minimum very special, especially when the developers are really on their shit. Hell, Hollow Knight Silksong just released, and that title is proof enough that I am all for developers taking their time to more or less get it right, because it works out for everyone in the end, and that's important. So yeah, I just like it's been 2 years with no sort of Spider-Man DLC expansions, but I'll trust they'll deliver when the time is right, I hope. Spider-Man Miles Morales for me was the sweet spot in the trilogy. There are a lot of reasons why. Number one being Genki and Rio Morales. Genki carried his part heavy as a sidekick slash best friend slash tech genius that Peter Parker should be low-key jealous about. Seriously, from the app that you use in both games to the way he can interface and hack into shit, it's crazy that he hasn't come out with some sort of superpower by now. He is very useful in those campaigns. And Miles' mother, who served as a different but still genuine version of Aunt May, providing Miles strength and emotional support consistently throughout that second game. Miles' attachment to his father is different from Peter's connection to Uncle Ben's. However, the theme, with great power comes great responsibility, is ever present in both gentlemen, if I'm being honest. That title didn't have any DLC either. However, the character development, enemy variety, combat suite, everything about Spider-Man Miles Morales was so well done, and this was the first Spider-Man game to launch on the PS5. It still looks amazing. Not to mention the story closed off on a great note regarding setting up the sequel, completing the character story with Finn, the Prowler, Roxanne, etc. So it may seem hypocritical saying that Spider-Man 2 needed DLC. However, Miles Morales told a more complete story, and the enemy variety and high difficulty curve made this title an easy one to come back to for another playthrough easily. I love swinging through Spider-Man 2, but I was good after playing the story twice. Miles Morales I can go back to story and gameplay wise because there was just so much packed in. Not graphics, but personality, soul. The immersion was realer for me. And that was pretty much the first half of my Spider-Man 2 rant, but Sony did a direct show where they showed a bunch of upcoming games on the PS5, and lo and behold, Insomniac officially debuts brand new gameplay for Wolverine, and absolutely killed it. Obviously, it's looking rated R at a minimum. This game looks to fulfill any Marvel fan's gory delights. In terms of wondering where the DLC for Spider-Man 2 was, now I understand why it wasn't here. The trailer clearly showed what they have been working on. Obviously, it's just a trailer, so I'm not trying to hype it up too hard, but regarding the gameplay, cinematics, and locations, there is a lot of detail to more or less mull over. And it looks like they've taken some lessons learned from the Spider-Man franchise as well, with some of the flashy cinematics, especially considering the transversal with Wolverine's claws. I'm all here for it in terms of that trailer. I'm loving it. With Spider-Man 2 allegedly costing $300 million to produce, this is where I kind of want to end off the video, where I hope it's not as expensive or even more expensive with the Wolverine or just future titles. I actually hope that they don't go bigger. They go a bit smaller and more precise. The sandbox of New York and the first two Spider-Man titles were massive in my opinion. And that's okay. I don't feel like it needed to go bigger than that. I'm glad it did for the sequel, but I'm not saying it needs to for any future titles. What I'm trying to say is that I hope they kind of go an Arkham Asylum route, where they focus more on not really making the location massive, but packaging the location with more detail and a bit more spectacle versus just a massive size. You know what I mean? I know there will be plenty of opportunity for Insomniac to kind of show off the flashy stuff. They've been through this road for decades now when you consider Ratchet and Clank, Resistance, etc. Swinging through all 5 boroughs in Spider-Man 2 is dope, and props for them for having fully realized New York. I just can't help but feel that a smaller size focus can help provide more opportunities for better character stories, gameplay scenarios, etc. But yeah, regardless, I'm looking forward to experiencing Wolverine next spring. Thank you for tuning in. Please leave a like if you've enjoyed it, as it helps the channel out, and I hope to catch you in the next one. Cheers.